Hello BTS lovers, is physical toughness really comparable to the strength of the heart, and is it possible that the two biggest names in the global music scene, Taehyung and Jungkook BTS, have to pay an invisible price for maintaining honor and discipline as soldiers behind the harsh walls of training in the 5th Division? An unexpected incident broke the tranquility of the morning. The soldiers, who were previously busy in the rhythm of routine training, were suddenly directed to the military hospital for a health check. But it was not only the sudden mass examination that was in the spotlight, but also the figure known as the angel of the stage, Taehyung, who looked down and was supported by two of his teammates. What really happened to Taehyung? Did the intense training erode his strength, and more importantly, why did Jungkook seem not to let go of his best friend, as if trying to keep all the tension in silence? Clues after clues began to emerge over the past few days. Sources said Taehyung had been showing signs of severe fatigue since last week, but continued to train as usual without complaining. Jungkook, who was now in the squad with him, has reportedly tried several times to convey his concerns to the coach, but Taehyung refused to rest until finally that morning arrived. What should have been an ordinary day but turned out to be the beginning of shocking news. All members of the 5th Division were called to the health checkup room for a routine checkup, but unlike the others, Jimin did not walk on his own, while Jungkook, who was previously known as a name full of energy and warmth, suddenly became a tense figure who was quiet and could not hide his worries. One of the medical staff even said he refused to leave the waiting room before knowing Taehyung's friend's condition. He said, "I will come later now, I have to make sure he is okay." Then the most important question arises: after all this, whether both of them will be allowed to continue training as usual, or will there be an unexpected decision that will change the rhythm of both of them and undergoing the rest of their military service? The atmosphere of the military hospital that morning was different from usual. Usually soldiers come and go quickly just to check blood pressure, weight and other physical functions in today's routine procedure, but everyone's eyes were focused on a small room on the east side of the corridor where Jim was being treated after his sudden fainting during morning roll call. His body temperature increased, his pulse was unstable, and his body showed symptoms of extreme fatigue. Jungkook, who was not far away, still wearing his sweaty training uniform, sat quietly in the waiting chair. There was no laughter, no special jokes. Even a young nurse who greeted him with "You also have to get a health check" was only answered with a short nod. His focus was only on Taehyung's friend. They didn't talk much during training like they usually did on stage or live broadcast, but their communication had gone beyond words. Jungkook knew when his best friend started walking slower than usual. He knew when Taehyung's breath started to get irregular when doing push-ups, but he also knew very well Taehyung was not the type of person who would admit that he was tired, especially when the whole world is watching them. "I'm fine, don't tell the coach, let's work this out together," Taehyung said. The night before, when they were walking together to the dorm after practicing all night, Jungkook didn't answer but held his shoulder for a while before going to his bed. It was a silent language that meant "I will watch." As a member of BTS, their name is like a legend. They touch the hearts of millions of people all over the world, but in the division there is no such thing as superstar. There is no stage that is lit, only uniforms, whistles and rules must be followed. Maybe that's why Taehyung's friend's health condition that is starting to weaken is ignored in the military. They are ordinary soldiers, and in the soldiers' world complaining is not an option. But who would have thought that behind Taehyung's friend's slender body is hidden a determination that is too strong to admit that his body is already screaming. "He doesn't want to burden anyone," said one of his fellow coaches who did not want to be named. "Even when I suggested him to take a break, he said, if I take a break, Jungkook will try hard to cover it up. He should still focus on his own training." The statement was shocking. How could someone whose own body wanted to give up still think about his best friend's burden? And how could a friend who knew the truth choose to stay silent but continue to be by his side in silence? It was a day of waiting and fear. All division soldiers were required to undergo a thorough medical examination, including Jungkook. But there was something different in the eyes of the health workers as they read the initial results. Taehyung's friend, a number of medical terms were heard in the corridor. Jungkook, who had just finished his basic examination, stood up. It didn't matter if the process wasn't complete, he just wanted to make sure one thing: Taehyung's friend was safe. Some medical officers tried to hold him back, but the order came from a high-ranking officer. Leah, such a friend was only 1 in 1,000, and there for the first time in 2 months of training, Jungkook was seen crying. Not a loud cry, not tears that spilled like a farewell concert, just teary eyes and a barely audible voice as he held Taehyung's friend's hand, who was lying down. Every week news of Taehyung's friend being rushed to the hospital spread quickly among the trainees, but due to strict military regulations, outside media were not allowed in. No, there is an official statement from Big Hit Music. There are no recent posts on the media. Only the silence that envelopes makes fans start to get restless, but inside the barracks the atmosphere is completely different. Since the news broke, Jungkook never returned to the barracks alone. He chose to stay in the treatment room sleeping on a chair and even refused dinner several times. Other soldiers who initially only admired them as celebrities began to see a much deeper human side. This person is not just an idol, he is a true friend, said a young soldier who just joined last week, 2 days after the incident.